My beloved child, before you take one more step into the shadowy territory of confusion, I am compelled to speak with all the gravity of the love I have for you. This is no longer a gentle piece of advice, but the final toll of a bell I strike to draw you back from the edge you yourself cannot see. There are opportunities which, once lost, are not gone because I have refused you, but because if you let fear harden your heart, it will no longer be sensitive enough to hear my voice. My desire is to draw you out of what you consider harmless, the small thoughts, the vague worries, the uneasy forebodings that are quietly gnawing at your soul day after day. Above all, I want to free you from fear, that intruder who presumptuously rewrites the path of the future I have fashioned with a hand full of mercy. That is why today I open before you another door, a door you have not dared to touch for a long time. I watch you walking as though you were writing your own story with dark shades I never painted. I see fear draw close to your ear, whispering tales that have never happened, and yet you trust them more than the promises I have spoken over you through so many seasons. You do not realize that if you would let me touch just a single breath, I would rewrite that future with the light you have long forgotten. Long ago, when I told my disciples to go across to the other shore, the sea was as gentle as a mirror, and the wind only brushed the hem of their garments. Everything appeared to be at peace. But when night fell, the waves rose like a battle and swept them into suffocating panic. In the midst of that chaos, I came to them, walking on the water, a moment of salvation that, in their eyes, turned into something terrifying. For the fear within them had turned even the one who came to save them into a vague, ghostly figure. Only when they heard me say, "It is I, do not be afraid," did they understand that the disasters they had imagined had never been part of my plan. Do you see? Fear does not need a real event in order to make you tremble. It needs only a small empty space in your heart, a tiny crack, and from there it can weave scenarios that make you forget that I always draw near, always am there, always hold every storm in my hand. You still believe that the future is built by careful calculation. The more you prepare, the farther you worry ahead, the safer you will be. But you do not see this one thing. Fear is always vying for the pen before love can take it. It writes faster, harder, louder, and in the times when you are most exhausted, you mistake its words for truth. So you walk under a sky heavy with dark predictions, while I have already set a path of hope before you. When fear takes the wheel, you see only dead ends. When fear holds the pen, you see only failure. And when fear sits upon the throne of your mind, you no longer recognize my voice calling you home. There are fears so subtle that they never need to shout, they only whisper. What if God does not keep his word? What if you are abandoned? What if everything falls apart? And if you only nod in agreement, they begin to paint pictures that make your tender heart shrink back, too afraid to step into what I have prepared. But you must remember, fear is not a prophet. It is only darkness magnified from wounds you have not yet entrusted to me for healing. Your future is not determined by what you worry about, but by the hand with which I lead you day by day, even when you cannot feel it. That is why today I come to remind you of something immensely important. What makes you collapse is not the great upheavals, but the tiny distances, those quiet gaps that form between you and me every time you choose fear instead of love. When you let fear sit in the place that belongs to me, the light around you will slowly dim, and in the busyness of your daily life, you will not notice that you are drifting away. Outwardly you seem fine, still, functioning as usual, but deep in your heart, something in the rhythm has slipped out of place. And right at this point, I must bring you face to face with three dangers that are silently manipulating you, things that seem small yet carry a power to shatter your soul far more than you realize. The first danger is the quiet slipping away of the heart. It does not roar like a storm or rage like a restless sea. It is as light as a film of mist settling on a window, so subtle that you do not see how day by day it blurs your vision. You do not deliberately walk away from me, but you allow petty worries, small, insignificant choices, and moments of postponing my word to become tiny steps that carry you farther. When the heart drifts in silence, you still appear the same, still keep your devout habits, yet deep within, there is no longer room for me as before. And it is precisely this soundless distance that robs your soul the fastest. The second danger is the enthronement of things that seem right. They present themselves with such reasonable appearances that you do not guard against them. A comfortable choice, a safe path, a goal that looks wholesome. Yet none of these spring from my call, but from the fear that is manipulating you. You begin to rely on what feels pleasant to discern right from wrong, and use the standards of the world to judge what I long to teach you. Comfort makes you think you are at peace, but in truth it leads you to avoid the truths you must face, the things I am asking you to lay down, the wounds I long to touch. It is precisely these things that seem fine that become the veil over your eyes, leading you farthest astray. The third danger comes when the mild toxins of the soul begin to seep in and keep writing the story of your life. Fear quietly scripts your future so that you no longer dare to step into what I have prepared. Bitterness locks the door to healing so that every painful memory continues to bleed. Though time has passed, envy blinds you to the graces I have placed around you. Pride closes your heart to every word of warning. None of these things knock you down in a single day, but they make you gradually calloused, hardened, and cold, until you no longer tremble at my word, no longer yearn to seek me, and no longer believe that I can write you a future different from what fear is drawing. And that, my child, is exactly what I want you to wake up from before it is too late. But do not be afraid that I am scolding you. I do not come to condemn you. I come to take your hand and pull you away from the crossroads into which darkness is quietly pushing you. I come like a father who silently sits down beside his beloved child, lays a hand on its shoulder, and gently says, "My child, do not wound your own heart with things I never wrote for you. Let me tell you an old story you have never heard in full, a story about a man named Gideon. In those days, I called him to something great, to lead my people out from under oppression. But Gideon, like you now, was filled with fears. He did not believe he was strong enough. He did not believe he was worthy. He did not believe I could use him. He demanded one sign after another, asking me to prove what I had already spoken. He looked at himself through the trembling eyes of fear, instead of seeing the future through the light I had placed within him. Yet I did not rebuke him. I did not abandon him. I walked with him patiently, step by step, touching his fear until he understood that what I entrust to a person does not depend on their strength, but on the hand with which I hold them. And when he let go of fear to trust me, I rewrote the story of his life, turning a timid man into a victor with only 300 men. Do you see yourself in him? I see you clearly. And I want you to understand this. I do not come to demand that you be strong at once. I only want you not to hand the pen of your life over to fear, my dear. Child, how many times have you allowed the worries of tomorrow to overshadow today? How many times have you let an offhand word, an old wound, a lingering memory from the past define your worth? How many times have you let your heart close in on itself instead of opening before me? Each time, your heart takes one more step back from the light. Yet I stand here, patient, waiting for you to turn, and with just the slightest turning of your gaze, I already have your soul gathered in my embrace. You think drifting away only happens when you do something serious, but in truth your soul does not need a great storm to lose its way, just a little forgetting to pray, a little weariness without speaking with me. A single time you tell yourself, I'll deal with it tomorrow, and the distance has already begun to form. I know you do not mean to. I understand the pressures that surround you, yet I want you not to take lightly the moments when you step away from the source of life. For when your heart has grown accustomed to living without me, my voice will start to sound strange, no longer as familiar as before. Then you are swept up again into things that look healthy from the outside. You must be stable, you must be safe, you must be approved by others, you must take the path of least hurt. You lean toward what seems right, yet inside these choices push you further from me. I am not opposed to your wisdom. I am only grieved that so often you choose convenience over truth. You choose immediate comfort instead of lasting peace. You choose to cling to what is old and familiar, even when it no longer bears fruit, simply because you fear facing the changes I long to work within you. Every time you let comfort become your guiding star, you refuse the painful yet necessary steps of growth. You do not realize that true peace is not never being touched by hardship, but having me with you in the very things that make you tremble. It is precisely these smooth, easy things that become the mask convincing you that you are on the right path, when in reality you are moving farthest away from me. Then the mild toxins seep into your heart like drops of water falling on stone, slow but relentless. You think they are small, insignificant. A little fear of losing, a little self-pity, a little doubt, a little comparison. But it is precisely these little things that, when woven together, weigh your heart down. You no longer want to open up, you tire more easily. You shrink back inside yourself and slip into scenarios I never wrote, and gradually, without realizing it, you begin to believe that what I promise is a luxury, while what fear says is reality. My child, do not let those little drops hollow out your soul. I know hurt has made you cautious, but do not let caution turn into suspicion of me. I know you have been abandoned, but do not let that abandonment convince you that I will also leave you. I know you have been betrayed, but do not let that betrayal hide my faithfulness from your sight. There are so many things you call self-protection, which in truth are only brick walls keeping you from my embrace. And when fear occupies every room of your heart, you begin to shrink your life. You walk cautiously, speak cautiously, love cautiously, commit cautiously, because you think that if you do not expect, you will not be disappointed. Yet it is this very caution that makes you lose the graces I long to pour out upon you. Do you know this? I did not create you to live a life cinched tight by self-defense. I created you to love freely, to trust freely, to walk freely, to lift your eyes to the future with brightness. I did not create you to live under dark forebodings, but to live with the hope I breathe into every breath. Let me tell you this with all the tenderness of a father. If you want to be free from fear, you cannot do it on your own. You only need to let me take your hand. You only need to say, Lord, I am tired. That is enough for me to act. But before I heal you, you need to realize that the three things I am about to say are not meant to make you feel guilty, but to help you understand that you are so precious that I must awaken you this early. The first thing I want you to remember is this: there is no distance too great if you are willing to return. No matter how far you have drifted, the moment you turn your heart toward me, that distance disappears at once. My heart does not count how many times you have stumbled. My heart listens for one thing only: whether you still want me or not. The next thing you must know is that things which seem right are not always truly good. I know you are afraid of pain, afraid of losing something, afraid of failure. But do not forget, sometimes I have to let you step out of your comfort zone, not to hurt you, but to make you strong enough to receive what I am preparing for you. I do not want you to choose what is comfortable. I want you to choose what is true, because it is that very truth that will set you free. My beloved child, do not take lightly the small poisons in your heart. They do not kill you at once, but they slowly drain you, dry you out, and lead you astray. I want you to have real peace, not a counterfeit peace. I want you to be strong from within, not just carry the appearance of being resilient. I want you to know that your future is not in the hands of fear, but in my hands, the hands of the one who has never broken a promise. Do not think I am blaming you. I am pleading. I am inviting. I am opening my arms. I am waiting for you to let go of your fear so that I can rewrite your life in a way even you could never imagine. I want you to believe this. If you will only place your trembling hand into mine, every heaviest burden will become light as breath. I will not allow fear to be your author. I want to be the one who writes your story. Let me lead you out of the darkness and bring you back to the place where your heart was born to belong. You are not alone. You have never been alone, and I will never abandon you to drown in scenarios that exist only in the imagination of your fears. My beloved one, come back to me. Your future is still resting, unchanged, in my hand. But I know you are still confused. I know you still do not know where to begin your return, because sometimes fear makes you think that only those who are morally perfect have the right to come back to me. But you are mistaken, my child. It is precisely the weakest ones whom I want to hold first to my heart. It is exactly the most trembling hearts that I most desire to heal. For I did not create you so that you would strain yourself to become strong on your own. I created you so that by leaning on me, you would become strong. Remember that I have never been absent from a single moment of your life. There were times you thought I was silent, but in truth I was standing behind every breath, every event, every shadowed corner you passed through. I do not speak loudly, not because I am distant, but because I am waiting for you to pause a little in order to hear. When you chase after too many noises, you cannot possibly distinguish which voice is truly mine. The more you run, the more you think you are in control, but in reality you are letting fear pull you farther and farther from my hand. My dear one, I know you once had to protect yourself from old wounds. I know you have cried on nights when no one saw. I know there were careless words others threw out that cut into your heart like a blade. I know you once trusted someone, and then they left, making you afraid to open your heart again. I saw all of this. I was standing right next to you then. I held you in silence, even when you did not recognize it. And precisely because I have witnessed all those hurts, I understand all the more why you are so easily led by fear. I do not blame. I only feel compassion. But my child, I do not want what has happened to become the mold through which you look at your future. The past is only one chapter. It has no right to write the next pages unless you allow it to. I want you to understand this. Fear feeds on old memories, but hope lives on what I am preparing in the present. You have grown so used to living with dark forebodings that you think that is the only way to live. But my child, I have so much more for you than that. Let me tell you one more story about those who once trembled before the future, but when they let me lead them, they stepped into things far greater than they imagined. Do you remember the prophet Elijah? The one known by all the people for his courage. Yet there was a time when he ran away, fled so far that he sat under a broom tree and said, "Lord, I have had enough. Do you see yourself in him?" From the outside, people think you are so strong, think you are always steadfast. But I am the one who sees the times. You are so tired you only want to disappear from everything. Elijah went into a cave, hiding from his mission, hiding from his future. But I did not rebuke him. I did not thunder. I did not scold him for being weak. I came to him in a gentle breeze, so soft that it could only be heard in absolute stillness, because I wanted him to understand that I never abandoned him, even while he was curled up in the darkness of that cave. And from within that whispering wind, I led him back into the light. Do you see? The ones I use most powerfully are often precisely those who have once trembled the most deeply. Not because they managed to conquer their fear, but because they let me pass through that fear with them. So it is with you. I am not asking you to become a hero. I only want you to take my hand and step, little by little, out of the very darkness you have lived in for too long. I know fear has made you build walls. It has made you think that if you relax even a little, everything will collapse. It has made you believe that as long as you stay in control of everything, you will no longer be hurt. But you do not see that this very effort to control is what has exhausted you. You brace yourself to hold everything up alone, while I am right there, just waiting for you to cry out, "I can't." With that one sentence, I will step in and move in places you thought no one could ever touch. Do you remember when you were small, every time you were afraid of the dark, you did not care whether the light in the room was on or off? As long as I held your hand, you felt safe? It is the same now. What you need is not to know how everything will unfold. What you need is to know that I am walking with you, step by step, breath by breath, heartbeat by heartbeat. When you know I am holding your hand, you can walk in the dark and still be at peace inside. My beloved child, fear is not worthy of receiving your whole life. It does not deserve to become your author. It knows nothing of your true worth. It only knows how to magnify what is bad, what is painful, what is lost. But I am the one who sees what you can become. I see the best version of you, even when you see only fragments. I see what I placed within you on the first day I formed you, and I have never taken that back. You do not realize that every time you doubt yourself, you are offending my wisdom. For I do not create anything without value. If you think you are unworthy, that you have no future, that you cannot change, then you are calling me a maker of mistakes. But I never err. You are simply looking at yourself through the eyes of fear instead of through my eyes. Remember this: I always see beauty even before it takes shape. I see the tall tree inside the seed. I see the ocean in a drop of water. I see a new person within the broken pieces you are holding, and I see a radiant future in the child of mine who is now trembling. You do not need to know the whole road ahead. You only need this one thing. Do not let fear decide your next step. Let me do that. Trust me enough to take a single, simple step, just one, and I will take care of the rest. Each door will open as you walk toward it. Each light will appear as you are willing to turn around. I want you to understand this with all gentleness. You do not have to strive in order to be loved by me. You were loved even when you did not yet know how to call my name. You are loved even when you fall. You are loved even when you let fear right in my place. But I do not want that love to be wasted on gloomy scenarios built by fear. The love I give you is for you to live in freedom, not to live hiding behind things that have not yet happened. My dear child, you are not a fugitive. You are a child of such worth that I am willing to pay any price to keep your heart. You are not a speck of dust drifting aimlessly through life. You are a soul I hold close, even when you do not believe it. So today, I want you to lay down every grim picture you have painted of the future. Give me a chance to rewrite the story whose pen you have let fear hold for far too long. Let me become the author of the tomorrow you have not yet dared to dream of. Let me place light in the places you have allowed to remain dark for so long. You only need to say one sentence: Lord, I place the pen back in your hands. When you say that, fear will no longer have any claim over your life. Old memories will lose their power. Wounds will lose their control. Anxiety will lose its throne. And I, the one who loves you more than you understand yourself, will write the rest of your story with a tenderness, a precision, and a perfect providence beyond anything you have ever imagined. My beloved child, return to me. Your future is waiting in my love. not in the fear you have been nurturing. My beloved child, every time I look deep into your heart, I see small corners that you hide so carefully, as if you were afraid that if I saw them, I would be disappointed in you. But, my child, it is precisely those hidden corners that I desire to enter, not to rebuke you, but to touch and to heal. There are things that do not make you fall at once, yet they wear down your soul day after day like drops of water falling on a slab of stone, painless and quiet, yet over time softening the rock. Fear, bitterness, jealousy, and pride are like that. They do not come with a shout, but with whispers so light that you think they are harmless. Yet these very things you consider small, when they accumulate within, form dark stains that keep the eyes of your spirit from seeing me clearly. I do not want to see you living with such a heavy heart, and so I must call each thing by its name, so you will know that I am here not to accuse you, but to lift that burden from your shoulders. Do you know why fear so easily writes the script for your future? It is because it always chooses the very places where you have been hurt the most and brings them back to you, then magnifies them as though they were about to happen again. Fear is not creative. It merely repeats old memories and turns them into bleak predictions. It shows you scenes where you are abandoned, where you fail, where you are misunderstood, where you are hurt, and in your weariness, you start to believe that this is the truth. I see you building walls around yourself, not because you are bad, but because you are afraid of being wounded one more time. Yet it is precisely those walls that keep my light from entering. I want you to know this. It is not fear that keeps you safe. It is I who am your shelter. There has never been a single tear of yours that fell without my seeing it. There has never been a single shiver in you without my standing right beside you. But when you let fear sit on the throne of your heart, you can no longer hear clearly that I am telling you that you are safe in my hands. And when bitterness finds a way into your heart, it does not pound on the door but slips in like a cold breath of wind. It whispers that others have not been fair to you, that I am silent in the face of all that you have endured, that you are being treated worse than others. Bitterness begins with a wound that has not been healed, then turns into a tiny thorn that makes your heart ache whenever anyone touches it. You think you have forgotten the past, but I see its pain still throbbing beneath the surface. I do not blame you for those feelings. I understand that some things have hurt you so deeply that you no longer know how to lay them down. But, my child, bitterness is like an old lock that tightens the door against healing. I long to come in, to bind up your wounds, to pour holy oil and honey on those places of injury. Yet if you keep clutching your painful memories and keep telling yourself that no one understands, you unintentionally lock me out. I do not force my way in, but I always stand right there, waiting for the moment you let go, so that I may touch the place you thought no one could ever reach. Do you remember Jonah, the man I sent to Nineveh? He was not afraid of hardship or danger. What he feared was that I am too good. When the people of Nineveh repented, he did not rejoice. He was angry because I forgave them. He sat under a vine, holding on to his anger as though it were his pride. But, my child, what wounded Jonah was not injustice, but the bitterness he kept nursing in his own heart. It was bitterness that kept him from seeing the greatness of mercy. It was bitterness that robbed him of joy when others were saved. It was bitterness that left him alone in the shade, isolated in his own emotions. I tell you this not to say that Jonah was wrong and you are not, but so that you may see, even those whom I choose, when they allow bitterness to rule, become burdened, and drift away from the heart they once had. I do not want that to happen to you. As for jealousy, my child, it is the most subtle of poisons. You never set out to be jealous, but when you see others being loved, being blessed, being successful, there are moments when you quietly ask, "What about me?" I know you do not mean harm. You are only afraid of being forgotten. But jealousy blinds you to the things I am doing for you. You see the fruit on someone else's tree, yet you do not see that I have sown into your field different seeds, the seeds of perseverance, of faith, of endurance, of compassion. You look only at what is visible in them, and you do not see the inner battles they carry. I want you to believe that I show no favoritism. Each person has a season, and your season is not the same as theirs. Jealousy only robs you of joy in the grace I have prepared specifically for you. I do not want you to compare yourself with anyone, because the light I have placed in you is a light that is uniquely yours. My beloved, pride is not always loud boasting. Often it is a refined form of self-protection. You think you must do everything yourself, understand everything yourself, carry everything yourself. You tell yourself that you know enough already, or you hesitate to let me correct you because you fear being hurt, fear being called out. But pride closes the door to learning, makes it hard for you to receive the truth, and leads you to shut your heart against the warnings I send. When you think, I'm fine, you no longer let me touch the deeper places. I am not angry when you are weak. I am saddened when you try to appear so strong that I no longer have room to be your father. I want to hold you, not because you are perfect, but because you need an embrace. I want to guide you, not because you lack ability, but because I see deep chasms ahead that you do not see. Do you know why these poisons are so dangerous? It is because they seep in slowly. They do not cause you to collapse in a single night, but they cause you to fade over many days. They let you function normally on the outside, while inside the fire of your love for me burns weaker, my voice becomes dimmer, and the life within you begins to wither. You still go to church, you still pray, you still serve, but your heart no longer trembles as it once did. I see you reading my word without your eyes lighting up. I see you praying while your thoughts run after anxieties. I see you worshiping while your heart is crowded with so many other things. You are not doing this on purpose, but the poison inside has numbed your spiritual senses. My child, I tell you all this not to weigh you down, but to show you that you have the right to step out of all these things. You do not have to carry these toxins in you for even one more second. If you simply say, Lord, please pull these thorns out of me, I will do it so gently that it will surprise you. I do not break a bruised reed. I do not snuff out a smoldering wick. I lift you up with patience, with tenderness, with the very love you have feared you were not worthy to receive. You only need to open a small crack, and I will come in for the rest. You only need to give me permission to touch the wounds you have been hiding, and I will heal them at the root. When you let me do this, your heart will become soft again as it was in the beginning. You will feel light again. You will see the light in your mind grow clearer. You will find that fear no longer has a strong voice in you. You will see that jealousy no longer makes you restless. You will see that bitterness no longer binds you. And you will discover that humility becomes freedom, not loss. When your heart is healed, you will realize that the next step I have for you is more beautiful than anything fear ever told you. You will see new doors that you thought were closed. You will sense my love more clearly than before. You will begin to understand why I am saddened when you hold on so long to those things, not because I am disappointed in you, but because I see that you are worthy of a greater freedom, a deeper joy, and a more abundant life. From that place of healing, you will understand that relationships which once caused you pain can be looked at again in a new light. You will know that forgiveness is not ignoring another's wrongdoing, but unlocking the chains around your own soul. You will realize that suffering is not the end point, but the preparation for a greater restoration. And it is precisely here that you will begin to sense a new calling, the call to let go, to forgive, to step beyond resentment in order to touch the freedom I have long awaited for you to enter. And you will see that a heart newly freed from poison is being prepared to enter another journey, the journey of opening doors, of loosening your grip, of giving back to the past what belongs to the past. You will find that the next steps I have for you are woven with a lightness that only those who know how to forgive can understand. From here, you will begin to feel that invitation, a gentle breeze, yet strong enough to lead you into a new chapter. My beloved child, I know there are things in your heart that are not easy to lay down. There are wounds that seem healed but ache again at the slightest touch. There are memories you wish to forget, but they return on nights when you have no strength left to resist. I understand why forgiveness is hard for you, because you think forgiving means denying the pain you went through, excusing the one who hurt you, or letting go of what you see as the last bit of justice you are holding on to. But, my child, forgiveness does not mean saying, that person was right. Forgiveness means saying, I will no longer let this wound lead me. Forgiveness does not change the past, but it changes the way you live today. Every time you cling to resentment, you are not binding the other person, you are binding yourself. And I, the one who loves you more than you understand yourself, cannot stand by and watch you carry that heavy chain without stepping in to lift you up. Do you know that resentment is like a burning coal you hold in your hand, hoping to throw it at someone else, only to end up burned first? Resentment blinds your eyes to goodness. It weighs your heart down, dulls your emotions, and drains your will. I see how each time you recall the past, it feels as though your heart is being gripped tight. I see your sleepless nights, your silent tears, your questions. Why did that person do this to me? Why did I let this happen? Why did I have to suffer while they seem to live in peace? These questions swirl inside you like a whirlwind in a desolate valley. But, my child, I never intended for you to remain in that place. I want you to step into the light, where you no longer live as a victim, but as someone who has been set free. Do you remember Joseph's story? He was sold by his own brothers as if he were a piece of merchandise. He slept on the cold floor of a prison and was forgotten in a foreign land. But when I brought his brothers before him to ask for grain, I did not see rage in his eyes, but a bright mercy. Joseph did not say, I will take revenge, but said, what you intended for evil, God has turned into good for many. Do you see? Forgiveness did not make Joseph weak. It made him strong enough to look through the pain and see my hand quietly rewriting the story. In the same way, you are not defined by what others have done to you, but by what I am doing in you. My child, there are times when you cannot forgive, not because you are cruel, but because you are afraid that if you let go, you will lose the upper hand. You hold on to the pain as proof that you were right and they were wrong. You keep it as a shield to protect yourself from new wounds. But let me ask you, does that shield protect you, or does it hinder you? Does it make you free, or does it make it hard for you to breathe? Have you ever felt truly lighter after clinging to resentment? Or have you felt your heart heavier, your days longer, your soul more tired? You cling to your pain to keep a sense of power, while the power you truly need lies in the very forgiveness you are afraid to face. Forgiveness does not make you weaker. It simply releases the energy you have spent on tension, on remembering, on accusing, on guarding yourself. And when you are free, you will understand why I call forgiveness a gift you give to your own heart. I know there are people who should have protected you, yet they were the ones who wounded you. There are people who should have loved you, yet they became the ones who caused you pain. There are those you trusted most, who became the very ones who brought you to your knees. You ask me, why did they do that? My dear child, the answer does not lie in their cruelty, but in their own brokenness. Those who wound are often the ones who are wounded. Those who harm you are those who have never truly been healed. They act out of their lack, out of their darkness, out of wounds they have never allowed me to touch. I do not excuse them. I only want you to understand that their actions are not the measure of your worth. You are lovable, you are worthy of respect, you are meant to be cherished, and I want you to forgive. not so that they may feel at ease, but so that you may be freed from carrying a burden that was never meant to be yours. My child, forgiveness is not always a feeling. Sometimes it is simply a decision. A decision you repeat each time old memories rise again. A decision to set down what cannot be changed. A decision to return the past to the past. You do not have to forgive in a single day. You only need to consent to let me walk with you day by day. You do not have to force yourself to forget everything. You only need to decide that this wound will not be allowed to decide your today. I know that journey is hard. But I promise you this, there is not a single step of forgiveness you take without my hand holding yours. Remember the story of Elisha and those who mocked him when he was still young. They laughed at him, insulted him, called him a mere shadow of Elijah without power. Yet Elisha did not let those words stain his soul. He turned his back and walked away, leaving it to me to deal with what needed to be dealt with. That was not weakness, it was the firmness of a heart that knows to whom it belongs. Forgiveness is like that. It is not accepting what is wrong, but refusing to let what is wrong take up space in your heart. My beloved child, there are nights when you lie still, and yet your heart churns like waves. You replay old conversations, the words that hurt you, the moments when you felt utterly helpless. You think that if you forgive, those memories will lose their value. But my dear one, your worth is not found in your pain, but in the strength you discover when you step out of it. Forgiveness does not erase the memory, it only removes its poison. You will still remember, but that memory will no longer make you ache. You will still know what happened, but that story will no longer have the power to choke you. You will still look back, but with eyes at peace instead of eyes swollen with tears. When you begin to forgive, you will witness something wondrous. Your heart becomes so light that you feel as if someone has loosened a rope that had bound you for many years. You will sense your mind growing more spacious, as though someone has opened the door of a dark room to let the light flood in. You will find yourself softening, becoming gentler, kinder to the world. In that moment I look at you and I see the child I formed at the dawn of light, a heart that knows how to love, how to feel, how to open. When you let go, it is not your soul that loses anything. It is precisely then that your soul returns to the original shape I placed within you. And from that place, you will slowly begin to sense a new calling, a voice soft as the first breeze of morning, yet clear enough for you to know it comes from me. That call does not push you, it invites you. It does not coerce you, it lifts you up. It invites you into a deeper journey, a journey of true conversion, where you are no longer only laying aside old pain, but are willing to surrender the other dark corners within you for me to transform. Forgiveness is the door that leads you there, to that place where you no longer live just to protect yourself, but to be wholly healed. My beloved child, your journey does not end here. Forgiveness helps you break the chains, but ahead of you, there is still a new calling waiting, a call that makes you realize that the time you have is not as long as you think, and that your response to me is what will determine whether you step into fullness of life or continue to remain with your fears. But do not be afraid. I will walk with you in every step that follows, with a hand that never lets go of yours. My beloved child, there is something I always see in you that you rarely see in yourself. You always think you still have plenty of time. You postpone coming back, postpone saying sorry, postpone prayer, postpone even opening your mouth to admit that you need me. You tell yourself, when I'm more stable, when I'm less busy, next year, tomorrow. Yet you do not realize that each time you say, tomorrow, your heart takes one more step away from me. The danger of procrastination lies precisely in the fact that it does not feel painful. It comes as lightly as a breeze, without warning, without making you afraid. And because there are no obvious signs, you think it is harmless. But my child, it is that very quietness that makes it the most dangerous trap. Sometimes you hear my voice in your heart, a flicker of unease, a gentle reminder, a faint prompting, but you brush it aside, thinking, not yet. You wait for a great miracle, a thunderous voice from heaven. Yet you do not know that my call often comes like a breath, like the first ray of morning light, like a gentle embarrassment within you. I do not shout into your ears because I respect your freedom. I do not force you to choose me because I love you with a love that never coerces. But that very respect makes it easy for your heart to forget how precious that call really is. A light touch from me is enough to save you from dangerous turns, yet when you grow used to delaying, you gradually lose the sensitivity to recognize that I am touching you. Do you remember the story of the 10 virgins? 5 were wise and 5 were foolish. All of them carried lamps, all longed to meet the bridegroom, all were waiting for the same joy. But only the wise ones prepared enough oil. The others thought they would have time, thought they could manage things when the bridegroom arrived. Yet the bridegroom came at an hour they did not expect. When they ran off to buy oil, the door to the wedding feast was already shut. My child, the 10 virgins did not differ in intention. All of them wanted to meet the bridegroom. They differed in their preparation. Procrastination cost 5 of them the very opportunity they had longed for all their lives. I do not tell you this story to make you afraid of being left behind. I tell it so you may see that your preparation today matters more than you think. There are doors that only open when you are ready. There are graces that come only when you are brave enough to step in, and there are moments which, once missed, you will not encounter again in the same way. My dear child, I know there are times when you do not delay on purpose. You are simply too tired. You think you need to rest. You think your heart is not clean enough to stand before me. You tell yourself, I'll come back when I've changed. But you do not realize that it is precisely in coming back that you are changed. You wait until you are better, while I am waiting for you to come so that I can make you better. I have never asked you to be perfect before you come to me. I only ask that you not hide from me. Yet you imagine that I only want to meet a better version of you, stable, strong, moral, spotless. You forget that I am a father, and a father never loves a child because it is perfect, but because it is his child. How many times have you felt a gentle stirring inside, a desire to pray, a thought to open the scriptures, an urge to step away from the things that draw you from me, and yet you switched it off, saying, another time? You do not realize that each time you turn it off, you weaken your capacity to hear me. Your heart is like an instrument. If it is not touched often, its sound grows stiff. In the same way, if you do not respond to me little by little, your spiritual sensitivity will gradually wear down. A moment will come when you no longer recognize what is my voice and what is the voice of your anxiety. And then the most dangerous thing happens, not that I stop speaking, but that you can no longer hear. I want you to know that the time you have is not as long as you imagine. Not because I am threatening you, but because I know there are paths which, if you walk a few steps further, become very hard to turn back from. The world has a greater pull than you think. It tugs just gently enough that you feel no pain, yet constantly enough that you do not notice you are drifting away from me. When a heart grows accustomed to the things that quench its fire, it begins to call that numbness normal, and it is that false normality that concerns me most for you. My beloved child, there is a story in Scripture that few pay attention to, the story of King Agrippa. When Paul stood before him and bore witness to me, Paul spoke with such fire and conviction that Agrippa was moved and said, "You almost persuade me to become a believer, do you see?" Just a little more, and Agrippa would have stepped into a new life. But he stopped, he hesitated, he postponed, he thought he still had time, and because of that hesitation, He lost the opportunity I had placed within his reach. The moments he thought belonged to tomorrow became never. I do not want that to happen to you. You ask me, Lord, why am I so prone to delay? And I answer you with all tenderness, because you assume I will always be there, whether you come or not. It is true that I am always there, but your heart is not always in a place where it can receive me. You are the one who changes, not I. You are the one easily distracted, not I. You wait for a more convenient day without realizing that today is the most favorable time. Each day that passes without me in your heart is a day in which you lose some of the beauty I long to sow in you. A heart is like soil. If no seed is planted, weeds will grow, and weeds grow faster than you think. My child, I do not tell you these things to make you panic. I speak to awaken you. I do not want you to run. I only want you to take a step. I do not ask for sudden, drastic change. I only ask you to begin. You do not need to do great things. You only need to turn back a little, and I will do the rest. I am the one who knows how to bring to life what seemed dead. I am the one who can breathe into dry bones. I am the one who can rekindle a lamp that appears to have been extinguished for a long time. All I desire is your response, however fragile, however weak, however trembling. I do not measure the strength of your efforts. I look at the direction in which your heart is turning. Remember this: the voice of the Lord does not always speak about tomorrow. There are words meant only for today. There are graces that come only while your heart is still open. There are doors that open only while you still thirst. When you let time slip by, you do not merely lose opportunities. You lose parts of yourself, the sensitive part, the tender part, the part that knows how to love, the part that knows how to listen. And I grieve when I see your heart losing those beautiful parts. Yet I also know this: each time you delay, it is not because you are hard-hearted, but because you believe you are not good enough. You fear disappointing me. You fear not keeping your promises. You fear coming and then falling again. You fear being unworthy. My dear one, I do not want you to come to me because you are strong. I want you to come because you are weak. No one goes to a hospital when they are perfectly healthy. No one needs light when they stand at noon in full daylight. I come because you need me, not because you are capable or accomplished. I know your heart is tired and your mind is heavy. I know there are days when you just want to disappear, but I am here, and I am not asking you to run, only to lift up your eyes. You do not have to change your whole life in a single day. You only need to change direction, and when you turn your steps toward me, you have already come home. And when you come home, you will realize something wonderful. I have never been far from you. I have only been waiting in patience, waiting in mercy, waiting in hope, waiting for the moment I can gather you into my arms like a father, holding the child he loves beyond what words can express. Today I invite you to lay down that postponing, not in order to rush, but in order to live true, not to make you panic, but to set you free, not so that you will chase after me, but so that you can walk beside me. For ahead of you there are still many things I long to give: bright, open doors, deep healings, promised lands you have never yet set foot in. But you will only see them when you stop standing still at the crossroads of delay. Just one step, my beloved, and I will take care of the rest. And from the very place where you respond to me today, a new journey will gently unfold, a journey I have been preparing for a very long time, simply waiting for your heart to return so that it can begin. My beloved child, you have let dim whispers raise up bleak scenes over your future, as if it were a realistic painting drawn with the brushstrokes of anxiety. But remember that these stories do not come from me. They come from shadows that want to send you astray. I have never written your future in tones of fear. I write with light, with patience, with mercy that stretches farther than the horizon your eyes can see. Be brave enough to set down every imagining that makes your heart heavy, because every story fear is telling you is only an exaggerated shadow cast by old wounds, while the future I have appointed for you is a path where my love remains steady and unchanged. Pause for just a moment and breathe deeply, as if you were opening the door for me to step into every crack in your soul. The breath you draw in is not only air, it is proof that I am still present, still guarding you, still upholding you, and every breath is a whisper from me to you. You have never been abandoned, and I am still holding the purpose of your life in my hands. Around you, though your natural eyes cannot see it, battles you could never imagine are taking place. There are powers that want to bring your faith crashing down by sowing tiny seeds of doubt in your mind. Ideas as small as threads, yet strong enough to lead you off the path when your soul is weary. There are temptations that will clothe themselves in comfort, promising a little temporary ease, a momentary escape from your burdens, yet in the end, leaving your heart emptier than before, like a wide room from which all warmth has been drawn away. There are things that strike at old wounds, making you feel as though you are back at the starting point, making you afraid that you will never make it through the darkness. But I want you to know that you are not weak because you feel these things. You feel them because your heart is so real, so sensitive, so alive. And these very things prove that you are not cold, lifeless stone. You are human, and humans feel pain. They tremble, they worry, and for this very reason, I am here, to become the strength you cannot build by your own efforts. You were never created to fight alone. From the very beginning, I placed within you an empty space that only I can fill, and those moments when you feel exhausted, as if the whole world were tipping in the direction that makes you fall, do not mean that you have failed. They are your soul's way of signaling that it needs me more than ever. When you tremble for fear of losing your way, when you feel suffocated by the chaos of life, that is not a sign that you are not good enough. It is simply your heartbeat, reminding you that you cannot carry the whole world on your own. You do not need to force yourself to be strong. You only need to be truthful. I am not waiting for perfection. I am waiting for openness. I do not want you to bring me achievements or a flawless moral image. I want you to bring me yourself in the truest, weariest, most honest condition you are in. You only need to be willing to stop, willing to loosen your grip on the things that weigh you down, willing to open the door of your heart so I may step in without your shame, willing to set down the role of saving yourself that you have been holding on to as if it were an obligation. I want you to know that peace also has a voice, a sound that is not loud like thunder or dazzling like lightning, yet has the power to pierce through every layer of turmoil in your soul. When I speak to you through peace, it is not a shallow impression or a fleeting emotion that rises and fades. It is a gentle weight that pours down, like rain soaking into cracked earth and bringing hardened, barren ground back to life. My peace is not only quietness, it is proof that I am very near. It gradually stills your soul, like the surface of a lake that no longer heaves under the wind. And when you sense that voice of peace, you are hearing my own voice, a voice that does not deceive you, does not press you, does not demand that you appear strong, the voice of the one who calls you by name with a tenderness no power can imitate. And dear one, I want to say this with all tenderness. I am not waiting for you to become the best version of yourself before I draw near. I come at the very moment you feel the smallest, the most helpless, the most entangled inside, because that is when you need me most. The times when you think you are weak are the times when I see you as most beautiful, because you are being honest. You do not need to tidy yourself up. You do not need to hide your dark corners. You do not need to force a smile to reassure me. I understand it all. The nights you cannot sleep, the times you want to disappear, the minutes when you are pulled into negative thoughts, even though you do not want to be. I know everything, and I still love you as I did on the first day I created you. Nothing in your heart can drive me away from you. Only you can think that. I am far, but you have never once fallen out of my arms, not even for a single moment. Remember that every noise of this world is trying to make you forget this. I am still here. I am still holding you. I am still writing your story one day at a time. And no lie of fear, no matter how many times it repeats itself, is strong enough to undo what I have established for your life. You only need to stop for a little while so you can hear my voice more clearly than everything else. Because my voice does not stir up chaos. My voice heals. My voice does not force you to run. My voice draws you back into the place where you belong. My voice does not make you feel smaller. It makes you realize how deeply you are loved. And when you begin to hear my voice in the midst of the chaos, you will know that you are not merely someone who keeps going. You are someone who is being led. You are not just someone trying to survive. You are someone with a purpose, with a path, with a future that I, myself, have planned. You are not merely someone who is struggling. You are someone covered by a love that fear cannot pierce. You are the one I have chosen, the one I trust, the one I will not lose. My beloved, let this sink deep into your heart. Every time you feel afraid, you are not failing. You are simply being invited to come closer to me, and I, with the whole heart of a father for the child he loves, will always come toward you untiring, without hesitation, never too late. My beloved child, I see how often your heart leans toward the applause of the world, even when you do not mean to. I know your flesh is drawn to the urgent rhythms of this age, to flattering words that are pleasant to hear, to numbers that make people feel more important than they are. But while the world noisily demands that you run faster, I am waiting for you in the quiet places where the gentle breath of my presence alone is enough to rekindle the fire within you. I do not urge you to chase the frantic pace of life. I want you to live in the sacred rhythm of my presence. Outward achievements are not the measure of your soul's life. The work I am doing in the deep places of your heart is the true work. The more you chase the kind of success the world defines, the more out of breath you will feel, because you are using a measure that was never meant for you. You belong to me, not to the scorecards of this world. One step taken in my will is worth more than 1,000 steps taken in answer to human applause. I want you to remember that my way is always different from the way of the world. The world values victory and defeat, but I look at faithfulness. The world exalts outward strength, but I pour my blessing on hearts that know how to humble themselves. The world builds through striving and competition, but I build through surrender. The world demands that you prove your worth by speed, but I nourish your soul through patience. What you lay down for my sake is never wasted. It is transformed into eternal fruit you cannot yet see. What you sacrifice in secret I record on pages that heaven will never let fade. You do not live to chase praise. You live to reflect the one who loved you before you even knew how to say your own name. Where you think you are losing, I am preparing an increase. Where you think you are being shortchanged, I am sowing seeds of victory in heaven's way. Where you feel barren and dry, I am sustaining you with hidden streams that only those who listen closely will recognize. And you must remember this. You are not standing in a race against other people. No one is your rival on this spiritual journey. No one is competing with you for my love. Each person I call in a different way. I lead at a different pace. I prepare a path that is like no one else's. The world makes you think you must keep up with someone, but my child, I only want you to walk with me. Slowly is fine, trembling is fine, as long as your hand is in mine. If the world makes you feel left behind, turn into my heart, and you will see that what looks like slowness with me is actually how your roots grow deep. I do not want you to win against others. I want you to overcome yourself, your weariness, and the voices that make you forget the true worth of your soul. I do not want you merely to exist from day to day as though you were just trying to outlast a long, endless battle. I want you to live, truly live, with the awareness that you carry within you the light I placed there from the beginning. You were not created merely to breathe and wait for the end. You were created to become cool water for the thirsty, a bridge for the lost to find their way home, a story that, when others look at you, makes them see that hope still remains. But you cannot become light if you let darkness slip too deep into your heart, and you cannot carry life if you allow hidden thoughts to quietly destroy your soul. That is why I must wake you up, not with rebuke, but with mercy. My dear one, the danger I want you to guard against is not only found in outward trials. What concerns me even more are the small movements within your heart that you yourself dismiss. Every thought you hold, every feeling you nurture, every unspoken idea, each is quietly shaping the form of your soul. A seed of bitterness can grow into a deep root. A fleeting glance of envy can become a lens that distorts every grace you receive. A little pride can keep you from hearing me. A brief moment of despair can make you question my love. These seeds are so small that you think you can ignore them, and they will disappear, but they do not. They grow in silence. And the most frightening thing is that this very silence keeps you from realizing that they are taking root. Bitterness makes your heart sink like a stone beneath the water. It pulls you away from the light and keeps you trapped in old memories. It whispers that others are more fortunate, more loved, more cared for, that you have been abandoned, disadvantaged, overlooked. Bitterness never raises its voice. It only grows like moss, clinging to a rock, quiet, soft, yet dangerous. A bitter soul sees wrong even when I am doing what is right, sees darkness even in broad daylight, feels wounded even while I am healing. I do not blame you for having been hurt, but I invite you not to let that pain become roots that hold you in the dark. Envy, on the other hand, is like a mist that clouds your eyes. It does not cause you pain, but it makes you see wrongly. You look at the lives of others and think that I favor them more than you, yet you do not know that they too are fighting battles I have not allowed you to see. Envy makes you forget that I am doing something new in you, in a way that is uniquely yours. A single seed of envy robs you of joy in your own blessings. It makes you stop giving thanks and start comparing. You forget that each human life is a unique design, crafted by me with the same love, but in different forms. When you look at others for too long, you forget the image I am shaping in you. Pride is different. It may come in the form of confidence, but in truth it is the closing of the heart. Pride makes you think you no longer need to be taught, no longer need correction, no longer need to change. It leads you to believe that you already understand enough about me, enough about the road ahead. But my child, when you believe you know enough, you no longer keep your heart open for me to guide you. Pride is not only self-exaltation, sometimes it is the hardness that appears when you are afraid of being hurt again. You do not want anyone to touch your old wounds, not even me. But you must know this. I never touch you to cause you pain. I touch you to free you from it. And it is humility that opens the door to healing. And then there is despair, the subtlest yet strongest of all poisons. It tells you that I am silent. It sows in you the feeling that you are invisible, that your prayers are not heard, that you no longer have any value in my eyes. Despair empties your heart and persuades you that the worst outcome is the most realistic one. But my beloved, despair is the most cunning lie of the darkness. It does not attack you from the outside. It comes from within, in whispers, soft yet sharp as a blade. Despair makes you forget that I am closer to you than your own breath. I am never the one who abandons. I am the one who steps into your night, carrying the light. That is why you must learn to uproot these seeds before they grow into trees. Do not wait until the roots have gone deep to begin crying out for deliverance. Be honest with me. Bring before me everything you fear, everything you are ashamed of, everything you hide. I am not afraid of your weakness. I do not avoid the darkness within you. I come to shine in that very place. You only need to open your mouth and say to me, Lord, this is what I cannot overcome on my own. Then I will begin the work of healing from within. I do not break a bruised reed. I do not snuff out a smoldering wick. On the contrary, I lift the bruised reed so that it will not snap. I breathe gently on the smoldering wick so that the flame may burn bright again. My beloved child, do not forget that every true spiritual battle takes place within you. What you nurture in your heart will shape how you see me, see yourself, see others, and see the future. If you let bitterness live on, you will see everyone as an enemy. If you let envy remain, you will measure your life by the lives of others. If you allow pride to rule, you will stop growing. If you give despair a place, you will no longer believe that goodness is on its way. But if you let me reign, all that darkness will have to leave. You cannot nourish poison and still hope for sweet fruit. A soul that longs to blossom must choose to remove what is slowly rotting its roots. I have not come to force you to change all at once. I have come to give you a choice. The choice to return, the choice to let go, the choice to be healed. You do not need to be perfect before coming to me. You only need to be true. Honesty with me is the first step for every toxin to be uprooted. I do not despise any tear you shed. I do not overlook any whisper from your heart. I do not scorn any of your weaknesses. Everything you offer me, no matter how small, how broken, I turn into strength. And from that purified heart, you will begin to perceive a gentle yet unmistakable calling. A calling that leads you farther, beyond old wounds, into the journey of true awakening. But you will sense that step more clearly when I lead you into the final part of the journey, where you no longer live by your old instincts, but live in the new life I have placed within you. My beloved child, I want you to listen deeply to these words, for they are the warmth I breathe into your soul in the very moment you think you are lost. You often believe that strength lies in holding on tightly, yet sometimes strength is found in letting go, lightly, in the right place. You assume that maturity means knowing how to control every upheaval, but in me, maturity is learning to trust when nothing seems to stand still. You do not need to understand every chapter of your life in order to keep walking. You only need to know that the author of that book is still here, never leaving you, not even for a single breath. The days when you must walk through fog are not punishment. They are the way I teach you to see with the eyes of faith rather than with eyes that have grown too accustomed to a limited reality. Let me broaden your vision, so you may see that behind every trial there is a promise waiting to be fulfilled. Behind every closed door there is a treasure prepared uniquely for you. I do not want you to live in fear of what you do not understand. I want you to believe that what you do not understand is precisely the space I use to act. Do not think of waiting as an empty, meaningless time. Many times you grow impatient, wanting me to make everything happen quickly, yet you do not realize that the most precious things are formed only in quiet patience. Just as a tree never grows deep roots on bright sunny days, it is in the stormy days that its roots are forced to drive deep into the soil. In those very storms, the roots of your faith grow. I do not test you so that you collapse. I allow trials so that you may know you do not have to hold everything up by yourself. I want you to know that you can lean on me with the full weight of your heart, that you do not need to be strong in order to be worthy, that your weakness is exactly the place where my strength shines most fully. Every time you are exhausted and come to me, I can pour into you a strength you could never create on your own. Every time you sigh, I can place within you a peace that surpasses all understanding. Do not let yourself be trapped in the thought that you must wait until everything within you is perfectly arranged before you dare to draw near to me. You do not come to me to present yourself as flawless. You come so that I may bring beauty to what is unfinished in you. Do not fear your lack of perfection, for it is precisely that imperfection that makes my work in you blaze with glory. You do not need to hide the cracks in your soul, because it is through those very cracks that my light shines out for others to see. I do not love you less on the days you fail, nor do I love you more on the days you achieve what you desire. My love for you is not measured by your passing emotions, but by my own eternal nature. When you try to control everything in order to feel safe, you unintentionally close the door that allows me to do the extraordinary in your life. I know you hurt when things unfold beyond your expectations. I know you are bewildered when the road suddenly twists and turns, but remember that these bends in the path are not meant to knock you down. They are meant to lead you into the space of holy surprise, where I can do things far beyond all you can imagine. You do not need to see the whole road, you only need to place your hand in mine. And I promise you this, I will never lead you into a dark place and then abandon you there. Wherever you go, I go. When you stop, I stand and wait. When you tremble, I hold you. When you stumble, I lift you up. When you lose your way, I seek you out before you even call. My child, when you release your old resentments, your heart will grow light like a leaf, freed from the wind that once held it back. You used to think forgiveness was a gift you owed to others, but in truth, forgiveness is the gift I long to give you. You have carried those broken pieces for so long that you have begun to mistake them for parts of yourself. Yet, I want you to feel the freedom of no longer being bound by the past. You will sense your soul as if a heavy stone, carried on your shoulders through all those years, has finally been lifted. And when you set it down, you lose nothing. You simply take yourself back. Remember that forgiveness is not the erasing of memory, it is the removal of pain's power. It does not make others innocent. It simply returns to you the key to the peace you were always meant to have. There are days when you ask me, Lord, why must I forgive when I am the one who has been wounded? And each time, I look at you with eyes full of mercy and say, because I want you to be free. I know you hold back forgiveness because you do not want justice to be forgotten. But let me tell you a truth I wrote from the very beginning. Justice does not belong to you. Justice belongs to me. You are simply invited to keep your heart from being clouded by resentment. For when your heart is pure, you will hear my voice so clearly that you will know how to walk, what words to speak, how to live without being bound by things that died long ago. When you forgive, you become like me, not in power, but in mercy. And it is in that mercy that you will be freer than you have ever been. You are passing through a season in which everything is moving so quickly that you do not know what lies ahead. But do not tremble. It is precisely in such seasons that your faith learns to breathe. Faith does not grow in certainty. Faith grows when you stand over the emptiness and know that I am the only foundation you need. Look back over your life. Has there ever been a time when I left you alone? Is there anything I promised that I did not fulfill? Is there any word I spoke that I have forgotten? Have you seen the times I quietly turned circumstances to protect you? The times when you thought you had lost everything, and I opened something better? The nights when you were so afraid you could not sleep, and I placed peace in your heart? Do not let doubt cover the truth that I am always faithful. I want you to believe that none of the delays in your life are random. They are the time I use to prepare the soil for the seed I have planted within you. You do not see that seed growing, yet it is quietly putting down roots. It is drinking in your tears, drinking in the prayers you can barely form into words, drinking in every time your heart softens before me. Then one day, when I see that the time is ripe, that seed will push through, not as a frail little shoot, but as a strong branch, nourished by the very journey you have walked. Others will see the flowers bloom, but you and I will know that this beauty has been fed by all those weary nights when you still chose to place your trust in me. Do not be afraid of what you cannot hold. I hold it. Do not worry about what you do not know. I know it. Do not tremble before what you cannot change. I can change it. There is only one thing I ask of you. Let me walk with you. No explanations are needed, no arguments, no striving to understand what I am doing. Just let me work. All you need is to let your heart soften again, to let your faith breathe again, to let your hands release what no longer belongs to you. And when you let go, you will see that I do not let you fall. I will catch you in the very arms of life itself. My beloved child, the season you are living in is not a season of loss. It is a season of rebirth. Everything is changing because you yourself are changing. Everything is shaking because I am rebuilding the foundations within you. You may not understand it all, but believe that every moment you place in my hands becomes a piece I use to build something greater than anything you can imagine. You only need to take one more step, and then one more. And I will take care of everything else. Let your heart grow still before me. Then you will see. Light is never absent. It is only waiting for you to turn your face toward it. All you need is to incline your heart toward me, and everything else will come into focus. You only need to whisper, "Lord, please lead me," and I will do it. I have always been doing it, and I will never stop. My dear child, there are moments when you stand at a crossroads in life, looking around and seeing no clear path, and you think I have left you lost in the fog. But in truth, it is precisely in those times when you lose your sense of direction that I am quietly reaching out my hand to guide you. You cannot see the way because you are standing in the very process I am using to turn you away from paths that are no longer meant for you. You have feared that every step you take is wrong, but I want you to know this. It is not that you are lost, it is that I am pulling you away from detours you do not yet recognize. Do not be afraid when you cannot see ahead, for my light always shines to a very different rhythm. My light does not illuminate the whole road. It gives just enough for you to take the next step in faith. You cannot see the path, not because it has disappeared, but because I want your eyes to turn away from your circumstances and toward me, like a little child reaching for the Father's hand when the way grows dark. And when your strength runs dry, when your shoulders ache from carrying burdens far beyond what one person can bear, I know you often blame yourself for being weak. But my child, that weariness is not a sign of failure. It is a reminder that you were made to lean on me. Your strength has limits, but mine never runs out. You do not need to pretend to be strong before me, for I am not looking for children who never tremble. I seek a heart that knows how to come to me when it can no longer stand. When you fall, I do not demand that you rise on your own. I only want you to let me lift you up with the very strength I placed within you from the beginning. The smaller you feel, the more room I have to work in you. Do not be afraid to sigh in my presence, for that very breath is the most honest prayer of a soul longing to be lifted. There are days when you wake up and nothing seems to have any meaning. The things you once enjoyed grow dull. The dreams you once cherished suddenly feel out of reach. You ask yourself why you are living, why you keep trying, why you should keep hoping at all. But my child, meaning does not lie in what you do. It lies in the one who created you. When you lose your sense of meaning, it is not because your life has lost its worth, but because you are looking at it through eyes worn out from chasing worries. Meaning is not something you must create. It is something I placed within you from the moment you were formed. When you feel empty, you are standing before an invitation to return to the source you have slowly drifted from amid so many concerns. And when you come back to me, that first thing, that purity, that gentleness, that freshness, will slowly return in you like the dawn after a long night. You often think that your life is in chaos, falling apart, breaking bit by bit. You look at your situation and assume that everything is beyond repair, but you do not know that within what seems to be collapse, there is my ordering at work. You see only the fragments, but I see the whole picture. You see only what has been taken, but I see what I am preparing to give. You see an ending, but I see a beginning. When I clear away the old, you think I am taking from you, but in truth I am making room for something greater. Like a potter who breaks a cracked vessel to knead the clay again, I too use the moments you call loss to shape a stronger version of you. Brokenness is not a full stop. It is a sign that I am about to rebuild your life with bricks that no longer carry the old fractures. In this world there is one who always wants you to lose your wakefulness, the one who distracts you, drives you after noise, immerses you in things that help you temporarily forget the truth. When you let the noise take up space in your heart, you can no longer hear my voice, even though I stand right beside you. Distraction wearies your soul because it keeps you always running, always anxious, always impatient, always feeling lacking. It stuffs your mind so full that there is no room left for peace. And I, the one who loves you with limitless patience, must call you back into stillness, the place where my voice rings clearest. In the silence, you will see what the clamor has been hiding. You will find your heart no longer dragged around by passing emotions. You will hear me speak what you most need, not just what you want. You will see that many of the things you thought were terrifying are only shadows, illusions, cast on the wall by your own fears. And when you return to stillness, you will realize that within you there is a strength you yourself have never seen. Not the strength of sheer willpower, not the strength of gritting your teeth, but the strength that comes from my spirit living in you. A strength as gentle as mist, yet as persistent as a flowing stream. It is not loud, yet it endures. It is not violent, yet it cannot be overcome. This strength is not given so that you can fight everything, but so that you may know when to be silent, when to let go, when to stand firm, and when to move forward. When you become aware that I live in you, you will no longer tremble before what seems as though it will crush you. For no fire outside of you is stronger than the flame I have placed within you. My child, there are battles you keep fighting, even though they were never meant for you. You think you must strain to defend yourself against every word, every misunderstanding, every wound. You rush into each conflict as if your life depends on it. But I want you to stop and look closely. How many storms grow stronger only because you keep fanning them with the winds of your worry? Some troubles will dissolve on their own when you no longer pour your energy into them. Some battles will end the moment you stop fighting. Victory is not always found in pressing on. Sometimes victory is found in walking away from a battlefield that was never yours. I invite you to recognize this so that your heart may grow lighter, your mind may find rest, and you may learn to cherish the holy rest I long to give you. And you know, letting go is not losing. Letting go is your declaration that you trust me more than your own analysis. You acknowledge that you do not see everything, do not know everything, do not control everything. You accept that what I do goes beyond what your eyes can see. When you surrender to me, you do not become weaker. You become free from having to manage everything on your own. Surrendering to me is placing yourself under the strongest, gentlest, and most precise of arms. I do not require you to understand everything. I only ask that you hand over to me what is beyond your strength. When you enter into that surrender, you will find that you no longer have to carry the heavy loads you always assumed were your sole responsibility. And from the place where you let yourself rest in my embrace, a new path will slowly unfold as gently as a flower opening at dawn, as soft as a breeze gliding over the water, yet strong enough to carry you into a new season of life. A season in which you no longer live by fear, no longer chase the rhythms of this world, no longer have to manage everything alone, but live by my leading in every breath, every step, every beat of your heart. You will discover a peace you thought you could never touch again. You will find that the meaning you once believed was far away is present in every moment where you yield control to me. My beloved child, There are days when you feel as if your soul is being pulled back by things you thought were long past, patterns that once gave you a sense of familiarity but have now become only a fog surrounding your steps. They call your name in the same gentle tone as before, making you think that if you returned, you would be less tired, breathe more easily, feel safer. Yet, you do not see that these very things have become dark rooms, imprisoning the part of you that is growing every day. You have grown far beyond those old memories, and your heart no longer fits the worn-out garments of your past. When those pulling forces return with strength, do not see it as a sign that you are regressing. See it as proof that you have gone far enough for the darkness to begin fearing it will lose you. Do not let what I have already freed you from reclaim the right to define you. Walk on, even if your legs tremble, because trembling is not a sign of weakness but a sign that you are stepping into territory that has never belonged to you before. You ask me why life is layered with so much pain, why what you face runs so deep that your soul often wants to burst into tears without even knowing what it is crying for. My dear one, there are things you can only understand when your heart has been enlarged, and pain itself is the tool that opens it. I do not take pleasure in your being wounded, but I use those fractures to carve into your soul a depth that a heart never chiseled could not possess. Like a craftsman who knows that to create a delicate work he must touch, shape, and remove the excess, I also use trials to peel away layers of fear, selfishness, and self-protection, replacing them with calmness, compassion, and the ability to stand firm when strong winds blow. If you had never suffered loss, you would not know how to cherish what I give. If you had never waited, you would not feel gratitude when answers come. If you had never stumbled, you would not know the worth of the gentle lifting I extend to you. Every delay you go through is not my indifferent silence, but the time I use to rebuild the foundations within you. You feel as if you are standing still, but in truth I am rearranging things that, if you could see them, would leave you stunned into silence. Just as a seed lying in the soil has no idea that its roots are slowly spreading, your soul is also growing within. What you think is only fog and darkness. You still believe that an unanswered prayer means I do not want you to have that thing, but sometimes I am simply holding it back so that I can place it in your hands at the moment you are mature enough not to lose it. You need to understand that some great blessings require a heart strong enough to hold them, gentle enough to receive them, and wide enough that they do not turn into a burden. I never close one door without preparing another. I only want you to be clear-sighted enough to recognize the true opening when it appears. There are nights when your heart feels as heavy as stone, moments when you feel utterly alone in the dark and you ask yourself where I am. You do not know that in that very darkness, I am drawing closer than ever. A father does not stand far away when you cry. I sit down beside you, quiet as the moon that still shines on the sea even when thick clouds cover it. I wait for your breath to soften, for your defenses to loosen, for you to open even a small crack through which I can slip in. You think I am silent because you are not good enough, but it is not so. I am silent so that your heart has space to realize that what it longs for most is me. Do not be afraid of that emptiness you feel. Sometimes the emptiness is simply a sign that I am clearing out a place in you so I can put something new there. When you feel yourself being pulled back to old things, I want you to remember that maturity is not never looking back, but knowing you no longer belong there. You are no longer the one who used to lock yourself in with negative thoughts. You are no longer the child who believed that love must always be paid for with fear. Now you are stepping into the journey of becoming the person I intended you to be, a person who does not let the past write the script for the future, who does not let old wounds make them doubt my goodness, who does not let words spoken long ago make their heart tighten every time it wants to open. You cannot become someone new while still clinging to old masks. One of them has to be released so that the other can truly live. I know that sometimes you ask yourself, why do I have to go through so many hard things? My child, it is precisely those journeys that have made you a land where I can sow great graces. A heart that has never been torn will never truly understand what healing means. A life that has never known drought cannot know the joy when cool water is poured out. I do not let you suffer in order to make you weak. I let you walk through seasons of cold wind so that you may know there is something steadfast within you that is stronger than you think. And when you pause, breathe deeply, and realize that you are still here, that is the proof that I am still holding you with a hand that never lets go. And then the time will come when, looking back, you will see that every teardrop, every breathless moment, every sleepless night was a step, leading you toward a more radiant version of yourself. All that you thought was delaying your future has in fact been shaping your soul so that future would no longer frighten you. You will see that those long, testing days were not meaningless empty stretches, but the very time in which I quietly laid down stone after stone to build you into someone who can stand firm through every season. So do not let weariness pull you back to where you came from. In the moment when you feel most exhausted, you are often closest to breakthrough. No matter how fiercely the winds of the past call you, remember that you no longer belong to the place they come from. You are walking toward the dawn, where the light does not only show you the way, but also warms your soul in a way you have never known. And I am walking right beside you, step by step, heartbeat by heartbeat, breath by breath, my beloved child. From the deepest place of my heart, I want you to know that your journey has never been written by chance. Every storm that has knocked you down, every day when you felt you no longer had the strength to stand, every tear that soaked your pillow through long nights, all of it has been within my sight. You have walked through things you once believed would crush you, yet you are still here, still breathing, still carrying a heart that can love and can hurt, not because you are strong, but because my love is stronger than everything that has tried to destroy you. I did not allow those dark days to drown you, and I will not allow them to become your final definition. You are alive not because fate has let you go, but because I have held on to you with a hand that never trembles. And my child, the marks on your soul are not failures. I am not ashamed of those wounds. Do not try to hide them as if they diminish your worth. On the contrary, they are the proof that you have fought, endured, and walked through the fire without being consumed. I look at each scar as a testament of rebirth, where you were broken so that you could be raised up stronger, more beautiful, more profound. The world measures worth by perfection, but I measure by the traces of perseverance. The more scars you bear, the more clearly I see that you are a child who does not surrender, and that is what makes me proud. When others look at you, they do not see only the fractures. They see the light shining through the cracks, the very light I have kindled from within. Do not run from your past. Do not erase it. Do not bury it in silence. Do not cover it with forced smiles. Look at it with eyes that have known pain but no longer tremble. For one day, your story will become a lamp in the night for someone standing where you once stood. Through you they will see that God does not discard what has been bruised. He transforms it into a testimony of hope. I want you to believe that not one of your tears is wasted. Not one of your pains has vanished into nothingness. I have gathered them, every single drop, to turn them into a cleansing water that washes your soul free from bitterness, from resentment, from the sense of powerlessness that has clung to you for so long. You are not ruined. You are not outdated. You are not left behind. You are being transformed. But you know, that transformation does not happen automatically. I can open the door, but you must step through. I can shine the light, but you must choose to turn your face toward it. I cannot force you to love me, because forced love is not love at all. I want your heart to choose me, not out of fear, but because you have realized there is no place safer than the arms of the one who knows you to your core. I do not use power to force your obedience. I use patience, gentleness, and even the moments when I allow you to touch the limits of yourself so that you understand you cannot walk this whole road alone. Look around your life. Every time you choose the light, something within your soul begins to shine. Every time you choose forgiveness, an invisible chain falls away. Every time you choose to stand up instead of sinking into sadness, you take another step into the freedom I have prepared for you. I have set before you life and death not as a threat, but as an invitation. Life is more than breath. Life is the peace the world cannot take away. Life is a heart no longer chained to the past. Life is a hope that does not go out no matter how long the night. My child, death is not only a physical end. It is the state of the heart when you let bitterness take the place of love, when you let anger corrode the tenderness within you, when you let fear cloud your eyes until you can no longer see that I am sitting right beside you. Every time you choose resentment, you are walking deeper into the shadows. Every time you run from me, you are shutting the door of your own soul. But every time you forgive, every time you choose gratitude instead of comparison, every time you whisper, Lord, I need you, life within you grows stronger than the darkness that wants to swallow you. Forgiveness is never easy, I know. There are wounds that only you and I know. There are stories you cannot tell anyone, stories that make you shudder whenever you remember. I do not ask you to forget them in a day. I simply ask you to place them in my hands. Forgiveness is not denying the pain. It is refusing to let that pain continue to rule your life. You do not have to accept what was wrong. You only need to refuse to let what was wrong become king in your heart. I do not require you to open your door to those who once hurt you. I only invite you to open the door so that peace has room to enter. Remember that each choice you make is a response to my action. Every time you forgive, you open your heart wider for me to come in and heal with grace. Every time you lay down a burden, you give me the chance to lift you up. You do not see everything I am doing, but I am truly at work. I am placing my hand on the wounds you hide. I am removing the layers of armor you have worn for self-protection. I am clearing away the sediment of pain in your heart so that you can breathe lightly once more. I see the places where you have broken. I know the days when you were so exhausted you did not even want to pray. I understand the moments when you were angry with me, blamed me, felt that I was silent. But my child, that silence is not because I have left you. Sometimes I am silent so that you can hear your own heart, so that you can recognize which wounds are holding you back, so that you may know I am not only the one who lifts you up, but also the one who wants you to understand your own soul. Choose me not because you fear losing something, but because you know that when you choose me, you are coming home. Choose to walk in love not because others are worthy, but because you are worthy of freedom. Choose to forgive, not because the offense was small, but because your heart is big. Choose the light not because the darkness is harmless, but because the light makes you beautiful in ways even you do not yet understand. And you know, every time you choose what is good, I draw closer. Every time you choose to let go, your heart stretches a little wider. Every time you choose gentleness instead of revenge, the sky within you grows clearer. I am not stingy in loving you. I love you with all that I am. But for that love to fill you, you must make room for it. You must let me enter the garden of your soul that you have long kept, locked for fear someone might trample it. I do not come to trample, I come to plant again. Place your hand on your chest and remember, that heartbeat is not self-made. It is the heartbeat of a soul I am preserving. You are no longer alone. You have never been alone. You need only reach out, and I will take your hand. You need only turn your head, and you will meet my gaze. You need only choose life, and I will give you life in abundance. My beloved child, be bold and step toward the light that is waiting for you. There is no burden you carry that I do not know how to unbind, no pain you endure that I do not know how to heal, no shattered part of you that I cannot rebuild more beautiful than it was at first. Choose me, and everything within you will be made new, not in an instant, but in a way that will surprise you when you look back. Let your heart grow still for a moment, because from this point on I will speak to you in a language that does not only touch your mind but reaches the very place where you once hid your deepest doubts. There are moments when you hear inside yourself a cry, the voice of fear and impatience, the voice of doubt that seems ready to swallow every trust you have placed in me. But in the midst of that noise, I want you to remember one thing. Choosing to trust is sometimes the bravest act a human soul can perform. Faith is not always blazing. Many times it is reduced to a single faint ember, yet that ember alone can rekindle an entire winter in your soul. When your feet grow weak, I do not wait for you to run. I only wait for you to take one more step, even if it is so small that no human eye can see it. For every step you choose to place in the light is a mountain moving in the unseen part of your life, even if your physical eyes cannot perceive it. And do not think that your stumbling makes me distant from you. On the contrary, it is precisely when you lie stretched out in exhaustion that I bend down closest to you, not to condemn you for falling, but to lift you up like a father lifting a child who is trembling because it no longer knows how long it has been away from the breath of hope. There are times when your heart feels heavy as stone, when you lie there unable to rise, when your heart seems wrapped in a thick fog and you think, I have disappointed God, yet not once have I looked at you with disappointed eyes. I look at you with the eyes of the one who knows every fragile beat within you and has no desire to punish, only to draw you into my embrace. I do not count how many times you fall. I only count how many times you long to rise and return. Every sunrise you see is not merely a new day in the sense of time. It is a sign I send you that I have not closed the story of your life. If I still keep breath in your chest, it means I still have a purpose for you, promises not yet fulfilled, doors I still desire to open. The prayers you once whispered in silence have not been carried away by the wind. They rest in a deep place where time cannot fade them. Some I answer at once because that is good for you. Some I delay because you need to grow. Some I have not yet answered, not because I have forgotten, but because you are not yet strong enough to carry what they contain. Every prayer is kept in the holy realm of eternity, where not a single groan or cry of yours is taken lightly. But in order to receive, you must keep your heart wide like an open sky, wide enough to allow me to act in the way I know is right, instead of binding me to what you expect. You once thought my answer had to resemble what you imagined, but I see farther than you do. I know what nourishes you, what breaks you, what appears beautiful for a moment yet wounds your soul for a lifetime. When the answer comes in a form you did not anticipate, do not be alarmed. Remember, what I give is not meant to satisfy a fleeting feeling, but to build you into the very person you were created to become. When you trust me more than your own images, you will see my hand opening doors that disappointment once locked shut. My child, do not be afraid. Fear is a thief that comes in the night and robs you of the ability to see what I am doing. Fear makes you look at the world through a cracked lens, makes you mistake what is harmless for something dangerous, and turns what belongs to me into a threat. But my love does not dim your eyes, it opens them. It sets the eyes of your spirit back in their true place, so that you can discern what belongs to the light and what belongs to the darkness. I never lead you into places meant to confuse you, but I will lead you into places that cause you to grow, and growth sometimes requires a little pain, a little pruning, a little breaking so that light can enter. You must learn to recognize this. Whatever drives you into chaos, pulls you away from me, and makes you shrink back in fear does not come from me. But whatever draws you closer to the truth, even if it costs you a bit of your familiar sense of safety, surely bears the touch of my hand. Let me teach you to discern my voice among the many echoes. My voice does not accuse you. My voice does not crush your heart. My voice does not push you into a pit of despair. I never use shame to correct you. I use truth in love. At times, my voice will warn you, because I do not want you to walk into a dead end. At times, I speak strongly, because you are closer to the edge than you realize. But my voice always carries comfort, like a father placing his hand in your palm and saying, "You are not alone." I speak this not as a momentary soothing, but so that you may know you are surrounded by my presence, not by darkness. I am not the Lord only of the radiant mountaintops, where you feel strong and sense my presence clearly. I am also the Lord of the shadowed valleys, where you feel small and can no longer tell day from night. I do not abandon you when you hit the bottom. I step down before you. In that valley I do not demand that you be worthy. I do not need you to be fine. I do not require you to shine. My presence does not come by condition. It comes by love. You need only lift your eyes, even if only in your imagination, and I will be there in whatever form you are able to receive. Sometimes as peace, sometimes as a thought light as a breeze, sometimes as a silence that lets you know I am covering you in a way that words cannot explain. And I want you to remember something very gentle yet very deep. I am not far from you, not for a single second. You look for me in the heavens, in signs and wonders, in extraordinary events where you think I only appear when something great happens. But I am right within the deepest place of you, the place you are too busy calling unworthy to notice. I dwell in the quietest part of your soul, where the noise of the world cannot reach. When you turn inward, not to search for your own answers, but to seek me, you will find that I have been waiting for you for a long time, not on the mountain, not in the storm, but in the very breath moving in and out of your chest. My beloved child, let this word of mine rest in your chest like a heartbeat. I am here. I have never left. You have not lost me. You have only, for a time, forgotten the way of turning back within. And no matter how many times you forget, I will keep calling, keep waiting, keep bringing you home until your heart finds again the rhythm of peace that has always belonged to it. My child, it is time for your heart to truly open its eyes to see what you have been avoiding for so long that you cannot let your life drift forever in the vague half-light of hesitation and half-heartedness. The moment I touch your soul is not to place more pressure on you, but to awaken the deepest part within you, the part that still knows how to fear losing me, how to ache from being far from me, how to tremble when it hears my name. You have lived too long in a state of spiritual half-sleep, where you know I am calling, yet you keep postponing, thinking you still have time. But, my child, time is not always as generous as you imagine. It is like a stream of water that seems quiet, yet seeps into every crevice of the rock and reshapes an entire mountain. The longer you delay, the more strongly the noises of the world press in. They do not frighten you at once, but they slowly lower the volume of my voice in your heart until you no longer recognize what is mine and what belongs to deception. I do not blame you, for I know your heart has faced so many kinds of weariness, so many crossroads that distract you, so many wounds that make you cautious. I know you want to do what is right but do not know where to begin. I know you long to be near me, yet you fear that my light will expose corners you are not ready to open. But, my child, it is precisely when you are afraid that I draw nearest to you, precisely when you feel unworthy that I most want to hold you, precisely when you do not know what to say, that I long for you simply to confess honestly, I need you. Look and see. The world keeps on turning without caring how your soul is doing. It offers temptations smooth as velvet, empty yet alluring promises, illusions of safety that make you think you are fine. Yet every step you take after those things is a step that makes your heart harder, more rigid, farther from me. Meanwhile, my voice does not change. It remains gentle as a breath, yet strong enough to shake the very roots of your soul. You do not need to run fast or accomplish anything grand. You only need to stop hiding and turn your face toward me. What grieves me most is not your weakness, but that you believe you must fix yourself before daring to come to me. You forget that I am the place of repair. You forget that I am home. You forget that I am the hand that lifts you up, not the whip that strikes you. The only thing I ask of you is the return of your heart, not the perfection of your actions. Remember this: in a world splintering piece by piece, where falsehood dresses itself as truth, where what is wrong is praised as right, and what is right is treated as a burden, you must stand on solid rock, not on sand. My truth never changes. My love never fades. My word never loses its flavor. No matter how the world shifts, I remain the one fixed point where you can lay your heart down without fear of being swept away. The longer you delay your return, the more those counterfeit calls will dominate your mind. They will weary you, fill you with doubt, make you think I am distant, that I only love those who are good enough. But that is a lie. I love you in the very moment you are most disappointed in yourself. I love you when you are too weak to stand. I love you when your soul trembles and is as fragile as a lamp about to go out. I love you because you are you, not because of what you accomplish, not because you are worthy, but because you belong to me. You have carried within yourself so much self-blame, self-doubt, and the feeling that you are not good enough to come before me. But, my child, who told you that you must be complete before you are allowed to return? Who told you that you must be strong to be worthy of meeting me? That is only an illusion born of shame and a subtle pride. Pride is not always holding your head high. Sometimes it is believing that you must handle everything yourself before you dare to stand in my presence. But I did not create you so that you would save yourself. I created you so that I might be the one who saves you. You do not need to wear a mask before me, nor search for polished words and refined thoughts to speak with me. I do not want embellishment. I want truth. Tell me what hurts you. Tell me what you fear. Tell me what you dare not say to anyone. I do not leave you when I hear that truth. I leave only when you keep pretending you do not need me. My child, open your heart and let me in, not as a distant God, but as a father standing right outside the door of his lost child's house. I do not knock to demand. I stand there to welcome you. The sooner you open the door, the sooner you will feel my warmth, my peace, my unshakable protection. I am able to rebuild what you thought was shattered. I can mend the torn places in your soul. I can breathe new life into dreams you believed had died. I can revive the love you were sure was gone. There is nothing time has stolen that I cannot redeem. There is nothing others have wounded that I cannot heal. There is nothing you have lost that I cannot return to you in a deeper, more beautiful, more enduring way. Trust me, because everything in your life, every relationship, every sorrow, every expectation, every disappointment can fade with time, but my word does not. I do not change when you change. I do not disappear when you lose your way. I do not grow weary when you turn from me. And I do not shut the door when you come back. There is nothing vengeful in my heart. My heart knows only how to rejoice when you return. And when you do, you will find a place no storm can break, a place where I myself am your strong fortress, your gentle shelter, the light guiding your steps, the deep peace at the very core of your soul. You will find a joy that no darkness can steal. You will find a life that no ending can touch. You will find your own true self reflected in my loving gaze. So, my beloved child, do not delay any longer. Do not let moments that were meant to belong to me fall into the hands of empty distractions. Do not wait until your heart grows calloused from repeating the words, "maybe tomorrow," too many times. Come to me while you can still hear my gentle call. Turn back while your heart can still tremble at the sight of light. Open your heart before fear hardens it. I am standing right here, not demanding, not forcing, only holding out my arms, waiting for you to step into the safest embrace you will ever know. My beloved, every breath within you is never an accident. It is a gift I give, a sign that I still choose to keep you in this world for one more moment so you may continue your journey. Every breath you take in is an invitation to enter into life, not merely to survive. And yet there are times I see you let that breath pass in anxiety, in dark imaginings that I have never written into your story. I see you squander each precious minute chasing what is not real, illusions that promise wholeness but leave you empty when you touch them. The world can stir in you the feeling that you must grasp everything at once, but I invite you to pause and look deeply into the very nature of the life I have breathed into you, a life never meant to revolve around fear or comparison, but around the source of life that I am. I did not create you to hide in the dim corners of doubt. I formed you as a reflection of a divine thought, as a melody echoing from eternity into mortal time. You are not a faint copy of someone else. You are a unique word I whispered into your mother's womb before you ever opened your eyes to this world. When no one yet knew you existed, I had already called you by name. When no one dared expect anything from you, I had already placed within you a spark no darkness could ever fully cover. I know there have been times you forgot that light, not because you meant to, but because this life holds so many glittering things that steal your gaze. They shine in the first moment, bright as falling stars, yet they quickly fade, leaving a wider emptiness in you than before. I see the weariness in your eyes each time you chase them and never once touch true peace. My child, the true light does not flare up and then vanish. It is quietly steadfast, like the very breath I placed within you. But to see it, you must learn to turn your eyes away from what only brushes the surface. People may judge you by what they glimpse in an instant, but I look through the dust, the scars, the things you try to hide because you think they make you less. No, my child, I see beauty right beneath those ruins. I see a strength you do not recognize. I see a kindness the world has not been patient enough to discover. I ask only that you let me gently brush the dust from your soul so you can see yourself again in the true light, the light I gave you from the very beginning. But you must know this. The danger to your soul does not lie only in the great storms. The most frightening threat often comes in whispers so soft you do not guard against them. Your enemy does not always tear your life apart with violent upheaval. Sometimes he comes with the sweetest words, the most comfortable choices, the paths that seem to require no cost. You do not realize that these easy things are exactly what numb your awareness of me. He lures you with convenience, with things that never ask you to change, that never call you to step out of your comfort. And it is precisely in the places where you feel safest that you are most easily deceived. You must stay alert, not with fear, but with the clear discernment of one who knows which voice is mine and which is the enemy's imitation of me. The world offers you wide roads, paths without resistance, choices that demand no sacrifice. But pay attention. Have you ever truly felt deep peace while walking those roads? Do you feel life surging within you there, or only a growing emptiness in your soul? Do you feel lifted up or only more easily lost? I do not lead you into easy roads, because you would drown in that ease. I call you to the narrower path, the one fewer people choose, sometimes steep, sometimes hard to breathe on. Yet it is on that path that you will feel my hand holding you. It is there you will learn a strength that does not come from clenching your fists, but from yielding yourself into my love. And it is on that same path that you will encounter what you never thought your life could be worthy to receive. A peace so deep, nothing can shake it. A joy not dependent on circumstances. A certainty not born of yourself, but of the one who leads you. Do you know, those who choose the narrow way never walk alone. They walk surrounded by angels. They walk under a covering no eye can see, and yet stronger than any fortress human hands can build. Every step they take is remembered in heaven. Every time they choose obedience over compromise, the light within them burns a little brighter. And I desire that you walk this very path, not so that you may become a hero, but so that you may become truly yourself, according to my first intention. That path will not leave you diminished. It will make you whole. It will not make you poor. It will enrich you in a way the world cannot understand. And my child, if you have ever feared that you do not have the strength to walk this path, remember that I do not choose the strong. I strengthen those I choose. I do not demand that you be perfect before you begin. I only ask that you begin. I do not expect you to take giant strides. I only ask that you refuse to turn back to the old way. If you will place your hand in mine once more, if you will simply say, "Lord, please lead me," I will bring you to the place where even you will be amazed to see that you belong. You are the breath I blew into the dust. You are the dream I longed to see take shape. You are the flame I have guarded through many dark seasons. Live as though this were true, for it is true. And as you walk with that awareness, nothing will be able to strip away the light I have placed within you. No darkness will be able to swallow the fire I have kindled. No lie will ever fully drown out my voice in your heart. Stand up, draw a deep breath, and remember that this breath is not random. It is my way of saying that you still have a purpose, a calling, a chapter of the story yet to be told. And I will walk with you until the final page. Only do not forget who is the one who has given you that breath. My beloved child, I hear every thought in you before it takes shape. I see every confusion you have not dared to name. And I know your heart is standing in that place between fear and desire, longing to move forward, and yet afraid you do not have enough strength. I want you to understand that walking with me has never required you to know everything in advance. You do not need to see the whole landscape. You only need to see me. Like a child holding a father's hand on unfamiliar steps, the child does not need to know where each stone lies. It only needs to know that its hand is being held. So it is with you. I want you to lift your eyes to me instead of staring at everything that might happen, because what you imagine is often far more frightening than the reality from which I am already protecting you. Every time you cling to control, you think you are being strong, but in truth, you are only tightening the weight that presses upon your own soul. My child, try putting it down just once, and you will see that letting go does not make you fall. It helps you breathe. You think that if you do not struggle to keep everything in your hands, everything will fall apart, but you do not see that precisely because you cling so hard. Your hands have no strength left to receive what I desire to give. Let the water run in its course. Let your life move to my rhythm, for I guide you with a wisdom far beyond your understanding. You see only a few steps ahead, but I see the entire path, the places where you once fell, the dark corners you have feared, the bends in the road you never expected. And still I lead you on, because I know that beyond each bend lies a goodness you cannot yet imagine. Remember that faith is not born in the bright light of midday, but in those moments when you see nothing and still choose to step forward. It is then that you learn to trust me more than you trust your fears. You once asked me, "Why must it hurt this much?" And I hear that question with the heart of a father, not of a cold king. My child, pain is never my goal. It is a tool to open doors you cannot open by yourself. Just as a seed must break for the life inside it to push through, you too must pass through moments when you think you are coming apart so that what I placed within you can grow. If the seed never cracks, it remains forever in the dark beneath the soil. If dawn never tears the night, the light would never spill over the hills. So each time you feel yourself breaking, I am there, my hand upon your heart, reminding you that this breaking is not killing you, it is setting you free. Pain is not the end. Pain is the doorway into a deeper, truer, more enduring healing. Look back at all the things you once called bad luck. I know there were moments when you stood before disaster and could not understand why you were spared. There were relationships you wanted to hold on to that I had to close off before they drained your soul completely. There were times you were angry because everything was delayed, yet that very delay kept you from things that would have exhausted you. You called these moments luck, coincidence, meaningless, but you did not know they were my most silent interventions. I did not put on a display when I rescued you. I did it simply because I love you. I have stood before doors you had not yet come to. I have cleared roads you had not dared to walk. I have shielded you from blades you never saw. You thought I was silent, but that silence was the sound of me working in the dark, preparing the light for the day you would step into it. I am not as distant as you once thought. You look at me as one who is high in the heavens, yet I am in your very breath. I am in each heartbeat, even when your heart is fragile. I am in the lifeblood that flows within you. I am in your most delicate feelings. Before you can even speak, I have heard you. Before a thought is fully formed in your mind, I already understand. I do not need many words from you. I only need your heart to open. I do not sit upon a cold throne demanding that you be flawless. I step down and draw near, so that your heart can feel it, my warmth. I am the presence that does not leave, does not abandon, does not change. Wherever you go, I go with you. When you weep, I wipe your tears. When you are broken, I lift you up. When you are lost and alone, I gather you into my arms. You ask me why I am so patient. It is because love never grows tired of waiting. I do not want to force you to open your mouth and call on me. I want you to freely invite me in. My presence is made complete only when you welcome me by your own will, not out of fear or pressure. I long for my dwelling place in you to become the place you return to, not the place you run to only when no one else is left. I desire to be present in your life not as a last resort, but as the one you seek first. The more you open your heart, the more I can do in you things that go far beyond your dreams, beyond your fears, and beyond your understanding. Remember, when you place into my hands what you do not understand, I will give you a peace that no one can steal. When you let me lead, you will no longer walk in confusion. When you dare to let go, you will see that my hand is holding you. And when you walk through darkness with your small and fragile faith, you will discover that the darkness has never overcome the light I have placed within you. You are not abandoned, not forgotten, not overlooked. You are my child, and that will never change. Take one more step, my beloved. I am walking right beside you. I have never left you, and I will lead you to the place where your heart has longed in secret to belong. My beloved child, before you lift up your prayer, I want you to take a deep breath and open your heart. I want you to speak to me not with perfectly polished words, but with the honest rhythm of your beating heart. Now let your soul step into stillness, and then offer me the prayers that rise from the deepest place within you. O Almighty God, who sees through every hidden fear within me, I place my trembling heart into your hands. So many times I have allowed doubt to speak louder than faith, allowed fear to write the script of my future, allowed bitterness to bind the darkest corners of my soul. Please open my eyes to see that no wound lies beyond your power to heal, that no prayer of mine is lost in the silence. Kindle within me the flame of faith and love, so that even when I have only a little strength left, I still turn to you with all my heart. Please step into the places I have kept most hidden, and transform them into a dwelling of peace. O most merciful Father, who never abandons me, help me to trust in you, even when every feeling within me screams the opposite. Please calm my heart when I am swept into the whirlpool of fear, when I imagine that darkness is stronger than light. I ask that you remind me that with every sunrise, you once again affirm that I am still kept, still sheltered, still called by the most tender name you have given me. Please guard my small faith as a father shielding a lamp from the wind, so that even in my weakness I do not lose my light. O Lord, refuge of the faint of heart, I kneel before you and place into your hands all that I cannot share with anyone else. Old wounds cling to me like shadows, memories I want to release, yet still hold tight, words spoken by others that still make my heart bleed. Please teach me to forgive, not because the other person deserves it, but because I need to be free. Loosen each chain I have tied around my own soul, so that I may step out lightly and live true to the grace I have been given. I offer this prayer in the holy name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, so that together we can build a strong community of faith.